Granddad never mentioned that there were men as dark as this. Wow, look at that nose. He's just like a pig. He's a monster! Hut!
In today's episode, I'm joined by Chelsea Valentine, who is a model. Thank you for joining me. And if you want to introduce yourself further, I'd let you go ahead and do that right now.
All right. Hey, guys. My name is Chelsea Valentine. I also go by my real name, which is Chelsea Sue. I model for import cars. I do YouTube. I do a lot of social media stuff. So if you guys want to follow me, my Instagram is Chel.Valentine. My Snapchat is Chelsea Sue. My Facebook is Chelsea Sue Official. Let's see, Twitter. Oh, my Twitter is Chel.Valentine. If you want, you could put a link below for my stuff. So I game, I do fashion, makeup. I do a lot of different things. So, I'd love to see you guys there.
All right. Cool. So I reached out to you because on your channel you have a short skit where you try to convince your parents in the skit that you are dating a black guy and it's okay. My first question is, why did you decide to cover this topic on your channel?
Actually, this guy named Solju, I think he's on my video link as well. He reached out to me about this topic, and I wanted to do it because I actually was dating a black guy at the time, and I was actually received really bad feedback from my parents about it, and I kind of wanted to, get the word out there in a way, how a lot of Asians are old school, Asian parents especially, they're old school about it, and they want their Asian children to stick within their race or even white people, And I felt like it was so interesting because I never pictured myself dating a black guy. I dated him for 4 months, and it was interesting because I did like him at first, but then, things kind of went downhill, but I'll get into that.
Okay. How much of an issue do you think that this still is in the Asian community? Do you think that Asian parents really just don't want their daughters to date black men still in 2018?
Yeah, I would say it's still an issue because honestly, I have Asian friends and then they tell me the same thing, that's what their parents say. It's very rare. I still don't see many Asian and black couples. It's still a rare thing. And even when there are the occasional one, they usually get weird looks. And whenever I'm out with a black guy, even just a friend, we get stared at a lot. People give us weird looks because they're oh, why are they two together, So I definitely think people still think it's weird and look down on it.
Okay. And you mentioned, your black boyfriend, and you want to get to that a little bit, so I'll ask a question about that. Do you think that your parents' influence on that relationship affected it in any way and made it more difficult to be with him?
Oh, yeah. My mom pretty much said to me, if you want to stay with him, move out of the house, I'm disowning you, don't talk to me. That's how offended she was about it. And, I care about my mom a lot. I care about family values a lot. And if my relationship is going to, ruin my relationship with my family, it can't go on, pretty much. And he wasn't even fully black. He was half black and half white, but his skin tone was still dark. So you wouldn't ever guess that he's part white. People mostly just thought he's black or even Indian or Muslim or something, but he was black.
Does skin tone matter? If they're Asian, for example, but they're a dark Asian, do you think that matters to Asian parents?
If they're a dark Asian, I don't think so, just because there's a lot of Filipinos who are dark, but they're still Asian. So I think Asian parents are fine with that as long as they're Asian. I think what Asian parents are more worried about is if they're dark skinned and not Asian or some other race besides Asian and white.
Okay. Getting into that a little bit more, I saw a post on Reddit where a daughter talked about her mother saying that when the mother gave a list of potential races that she'd like her daughter to date, and Asians were at the top, white was in the middle, and black and Mexicans were at the bottom, but just before that was a stray dog. So I'm just wondering how extreme it is. Are we looked at, or because I'm half black, do Asian parents really think that a stray dog is better than a black guy in some cases? I know that's extreme, but I see that and I'm is that what they really think of us? Or black men, I should say.
I think the stray dog thing is a little extreme. I think they're just trying to make a point across. they'd rather have you date a dog instead of a black man. But like from what I've seen, it's still they'd rather be like, light skinned husband or get out, get the fuck out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like Asians, they care a lot about like genetics and like passing on genes, and they're afraid like their children's gonna have dark skin and not look like them, or they're gonna have like a different hair texture. You know what I mean? And they feel like they almost feel like blacks or dark skinned people are like lower class than light skinned people. So that's like a huge it's an issue too.
I also read an article on Next Shark, which is an online Asian magazine, where I think it was in China, I'm not sure, but a Chinese father was talking to a daughter. Couldn't see their faces, but he was like, Chinese and white couples are better than Chinese and black couples. So my question is, because like I know a lot of Asian parents can be very traditional and just say, I want you to date Asian men, that's it. But are they accepting of white men, and why or why not?
Yeah, they're definitely accepting of white men, I think, because I've seen just so many like white males and Asian females marrying, dating, spending family time together. Like I can't even name how many, but I see it like every single day. Like even my boyfriend currently, he's white. My mom's totally fine, never complain about it. Doesn't care if it's white or Asian, But the reason why they're accepting of it is because like in America, especially like whites are treated like, with respect most of the time. You know what I mean? Like these Asian parents, they want the best for their kids, and they feel like being with a white person kind of, gains some privilege because Asians are still a minority, and like being with a white person kind of like, and it doesn't like improve their status, but it ensures that they'll have like certain rights. You know what I mean? Whereas being with a black person, like, I'm sure you still see like a lot of black people don't have rights, or they still get a lot of discrimination.
Yeah.
And then like, Asian people just don't want to bring that into the family. So yeah.
How do you think that Asian parents view Hispanics? Is it the same way that they view blacks? Are they kind of like a mixed bag for Asian parents? What do you think?
Yeah, the thing is that there's like some Spanish people who look white. So I feel like as long as those Spanish people who look white and that you can't tell they're Spanish right away, I still feel like Asian parents will be okay with it. Because in some cases, you might not even be able to tell, like, hey, this dude's actually Spanish, he's not white. You know what I mean? So I think that case is okay, but I still feel like Asian parents prefer whites and Asians over Spanish because they still feel like they kind of fall into the same category of, like, lower class.
So I also, like, I was thinking about your skit and the fact that you mentioned, okay, well, this guy's an MBA from Cornell and it wasn't enough. It makes me think that, like, because there are so many negative stereotypes about black people, that in order to basically be considered by Asian parents, you have to have signs of status or money. So it's like, okay, an Ivy League degree. That might help. How much do you think status and power or wealth can change an Asian parent's decision on how they view a black guy that their daughter is dating?
I think a black guy with like a really good degree at a prestigious school and a high-paying job definitely helps. But it's ultimately up to the girl's decision if she wants to be with him or not. And I feel like if she wants to be with him, she can. But I still feel like the Asian parents would still be kind of disappointed, even if he was this rich, famous, or whatever guy. Like if he's dark skinned and if he's black, I still feel like they would be disappointed because it's just such a anomaly, kind of like you don't see it too often. I feel like the Asian parents would feel weird, like this is not traditional. And like Asians are all about like traditions and culture, like they want to stay within like their culture.
And at this point, do you think that because we see a lot of white male Asian female couples, that the parents are influencing heavily like who Asian women date, or do you think that Asian women are like gravitating themselves towards white and Asian and not black?
Oh, you think like not because of their parents, right? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, do you think it's like mostly the parents at this point, or do you think it like the women are also choosing themselves?
I think definitely still choosing, because I think that Asian girls, like, stereotypically, like, not to judge, but I think they just prefer white males. Like, even these days, I don't see too many Asian girls and Asian men together. It's usually an Asian female with like either a white or a Spanish or maybe even someone dark skinned, because it is out there, but it's just it's not common. Not as common as an Asian and a white guy, but I still feel like there's that attraction. Like I feel like Asian and whites are kind of on the same class level. Like they're both able to make more money, and I feel like Spanish and Black people are kind of like on the lower end. You know what I mean? Just stereotypically, not like statistics, but I'm saying like just judging by looking at. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I hear that a lot, but then I also hear situations where like white men like sexually harass Asian women, and then there's yellow fever, and there are some white supremacists who have dated Asian women, and I wonder like why that doesn't influence like either Asian families or Asian women in their decision to date white men.
I think it just goes back to the Asian parents just not wanting to see their daughter with a Black guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of Asian men aren't very desirable either. So not looks wise, but I don't know, it's a lot of things. But I feel like what's left? Only white guys. That's all they get to choose from, If they don't like Asians and they're not attracted to Asians and they like white, they have to put up with what they do just because they're attracted to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And that makes me wonder why Asian men aren't attractive. Because there is a lot. I mean, I don't know if you saw Natalie Tran's documentary, but last year, YouTuber Natalie Tran covered this issue of Asian female, white male couples, and a lot of anger that Asian men have about that. So it makes me wonder, like, why Asian men aren't seen as desirable by Asian women.
Yeah, I saw this one video where it was like this Asian guy was saying because I'm not white. It's basically a song about how he's like, losing all the Asian girls to white guys. I don't know. Honestly, I think it's just, it's probably just hard to find a decent looking one. I don't know. This is a hard question to answer. Like, I'm doing so bad at this question, honestly. Because I've dated an Asian before. I've dated a Korean guy for 5 years. And, it was great. Like, we loved each other, but then I got kind of bored of him.
They don't want to hear that. Like,
yeah. And and the whole excuse my language, but the whole like Asian dick thing being small is not true always. It's true some of the time, but it's not true always. Just putting that out there for you guys watching, okay? It can be some blessed Asian guys, but it's not a lot, okay? And I don't know. I think I don't even know how to describe it. That's a hard question. Why are Asian guys not as desirable? I feel like people have been trying to figure this out for many years.
Well, I think some people would say that it has to do with the fact that whiteness is seen as like a luxury in Asia. Like skin whitening is a big deal, and like there might be, forgive me for saying this, like some internalized like self-hate because Asian women sometimes, I'm saying this, like they change their hair color, or like they might change their eye color because they don't want to seem like they're all like the same, because sometimes Western media will portray Asian women as like this same model minority, submissive, whatever, and Asian women feeling this way, they try to, change their appearance to look and fit more with Western society or white society. So my point is that like maybe some people think that Asian women want to be white because they don't like being Asian, and it manifests itself by dating only white men. I don't know if you agree with that, but
I I mean, well, the reason I dye my hair like this, like I'm kind of trying to not, but the thing is, I feel like I personally look better with this hair color. Like, I have tons of pictures of myself with black hair, my natural hair color, and that looks good too. But I just feel more myself, and I just like how it looks. Mm-hmm. I don't care to be white. I don't want to be white. I think that. Sorry if anyone gets offended by what I say, but I think white people are kind of dumb. Like, some white girls can be pretty dumb and annoying, and a lot of white guys can be dumb too. Like, white is not like the perfect race. You know, there's shooters, there's crazy white people. You know, it's just the look. I feel like it really just comes down to the look that they like. You know, light hair, light skin, light eyes. Like, it looks really nice, and I feel like that's what people go for. But I don't think Asian girls who dye their hair or wear contacts want to be white. I think they just like the look of it. I mean, maybe some do. Maybe some Asian girls really do want to be white girls, but I feel like I don't think that's the case most of the time. And and I think a lot of the reason why Asians want to fit in with white people more is because whites don't really get made fun of. Like, Asian people get made fun of a lot. You know, like, growing up, like, I've been bullied by I've been bullied in high school, middle school. And Asian people get bullied a lot of things. Like, be like, oh, you guys eat cat, you guys eat dog, or whatever. And it's like, Asians you don't want to hear that. Like, it hurts your feelings. So what do? You hang out with white people, just to get away from that bullying, because it's really hurtful. So I feel like that's another reason why, like, Asians kind of want to be associated with white people or white guys, just so, like, they don't get bullied. I feel like that's a big reason.
Okay. What advice would you give to Asian men and like men of color, black and Hispanic men, who want to date Asian women, but like they see Asian women going for white guys all the time? What would you say to those men?
I definitely think don't approach them the way you would approach other races, because I know, like, some of them just slide into DMs and be like, hey girl, like, hey beautiful, or like, let's go out. Like, Asian girls don't really like that. Asian girls want to, like, Asian culture is all about respect and stuff. So I feel like you need to try to be her friend first, try to, like, ease into it, but don't be so direct. Like, Asian girls, like, try to, like, hang out as a friend, like, go for ice cream or something, but don't tell her that you want to date her right away. Like, try to be her friend for a while, be there for her, and then, if she likes you, then that's when you can start to, show more, like, signs and hints and stuff. But I think definitely don't be direct. And don't do what, like, a lot of, like, no offense, like, Spanish and black people do. They be, like, hollering at girls in the street and, like, be, like, girls hate, especially Asian girls, we hate that, okay? So, yeah, I think just don't be direct and try to be her friend first. I think that's the best way to go about it.
I've seen that. I don't think I've ever done that, but it's nice to know that I have to be conscious of that. A couple more follow-up questions, I guess wrap-up questions, I should say. What advice would you give to black men who have to deal with Asian parents that don't accept them?
Yeah, that's a tough one. You have to, like, this is what my ex tried to do, the black one who my family did not accept. What he tried to do was he tried to eventually, get my mom to accept him, be nice to herself, but in the end that just didn't happen, and he had to accept that. So you have to let her know, like, okay, I want to be with you. Eventually, if we get married, your parents are going to have to deal with it, right? And, if the girl wants to really be with that guy, then her parents are just going to have to deal with it. They might not have as good of a relationship anymore, but at least she'll be with the guy she wants to be with. Or, just tell her, like, it's really bothering me, like, do you think this is going to work out or not? Like, just keep in mind that's always going to be something you have to kind of consider, because unless, like, there's some Asian families who don't care about race, which I don't think there's too many, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you can find that one, that's great. It's easier, but just kind of keep in mind, like, it might not work out. So don't get too disappointed, you know what I mean? Like, because it's to be expected.
Okay. And finally, what would you say to Asian parents who don't want their daughters to date black men? And, for that matter, Hispanic one as well. Throw that in there.
Yeah. Well, I think, like I said before, a big part of it is because they want like their children, like their grandkids, to look kind of like them, skin tone, hair wise at least. What I would say to the parents is that, like the guy, I did like him. He did have his flaws too, but overall, like we were pretty compatible. I think it's 2018. It's time to like be more accepting, because it's not like we're like in the 1950s or like, you know what I mean? Like there's couples of all different ethnicities. Like there's Black and Asian babies, and they're really cute. And I think like you should really take your daughter's feelings into consideration. Like if she wants to be with him, like you should support it. Like I feel like as a parent, you should always support who your children wants to be with, because it's not your life at the end of the day. It's their life, it's their marriage, it's their future. So I feel like it's time to kind of, let those old cultures go and be more accepting. That's what I think.
It's a good way to think about it, but I don't know how much that's actually going to happen. If you have any, go ahead.
I said it might be a while because it's still like kind of a big issue. Yeah.
Yeah. Stray dog. But if you have anything else to add, go ahead, because those are all my questions.
All right, cool. Well, I'm glad you had all your questions ready. That definitely like made this go really smooth.
Yeah.
What else can I add? Yeah, I mean, it's not like a very common thing, but I think as long as the most important thing is you have to be happy, and sometimes it's not what your parents want for you, but as long as you're happy, they should understand, you know what I mean? The reason why me and that guy ended, because I started not to like him at the end of the day because of who he was, not because of what his race was, but like relationship wise, like he did a lot of things that bothered me, so I was just like, meh, like, forget it. But I think at the end of the day, you should look past like someone's race, like it's not about skin color, it's not about hair texture. At the end of the day, it's like who they are, and if they make you happy and you're Asian and they're Black, that's great. And I think I support it. Like I support gays, I support bi people. Like I just think the end goal is just to be happy, like no matter who you're with.